Hey everybody, look who I have.
Yeah.
Come on, dance, Craig.
Hey.
And we already started out like who we are. Alrighty. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is Tyrone, your goddess guru, your sister friend, and I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess-centered lifestyle. And I'm here today with my husband, Craig, who you all have heard me talk about. Say hello.
Yeah, this is the ODP, the outdoor pastor, otherwise known as Maharo.
Where'd you get Maharo from?
Oh, when I went to Rwanda this year, I received my African name, and that's what they gave me. It means peace.
Ah, yes, I love that. So yeah, I have been talking to Craig for a while about coming on and just sharing a little bit from the man's perspective. I consider Craig, first of all, to be an amazing man. Of course, we've been married 30 years. You so happy to be married for 30 years, right?
Yes.
He had no other choice but to say that. But he means it. He means it. But
think twice if you need help. All right, go ahead.
So y'all get to see. I've told y'all already. He's showing y'all who I've been telling y'all is. He is. But I think it's so good for women to learn from men. Craig is an amazing man. He has amazing integrity. He's been such a wonderful man as a husband, a father. Other men look up to Craig. And so who better to talk to about, or for women who are wanting to better understand, how do you get in a long-term loving relationship with a man, than to talk to a man? Craig is what I call a quintessential Gen X man. He's like a little bit of the old school mixed with a little bit of the new school. He's right in the middle. And so he has so much wisdom. So Craig, you ready to talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
So the first thing that I think I want women to know about is there's, to me, differences between men and women. So for instance, I really do think this woman gave this an example. I think it was a really good example. Women, the example that she gave were these switchboards. It was like, for a woman, the switchboard had levers and it had lights and it had buttons and all kinds of little device, things like when you think about people who fly airplanes, all that panel, all those buttons, very complicated. And then when she showed the panel for the men, it was maybe like a button, one switch, one lever. It was just like, women are way more complex for whatever reason. It's not bad, it's just different. And men are more simple. And I think that's important for women to understand the simplicity of men. And so speak about that, as well as just like, what do men want women to know that they think women may not know and understand about men?
Yeah. So I think that where you started was excellent. Men are simple. We're not complicated. I think that in relationships, oftentimes women read into what men say, and I'm like, I didn't say that. Here, listen to the words. If I say I like you, that's what I mean. If I say I like the dress, that's what I mean. Don't try to, well, he said that because of this. No, men are simple. Men are, in the same way, I believe men are easy to please. Not all men like the same thing, but men like what they like. And so Tyra knows I like hanging outside, being outdoors. And so what did she get me for my birthday? Anniversaries, Father's Day. She gets me an REI gift card. She doesn't have to go out and do all this fancy. Just, I can use this to go outside. Thank you very much. And so I think that is one thing that it takes time to get to know a person. But once you get to know them, especially for men, women as well, but I'm talking about men.
Right.
Once they show you who they are, believe that. Don't try to finesse it. Don't try to change it.
Mm.
Uh, we talked a little bit earlier. And my wife, Tyra, used a word that I love: respect who that man is. And so I think that's the largest or the biggest thing in relationships that either make or break, is understanding how basic and simple men are, and then just respect whoever that man is, respect him for who he is. I think also in general, men are wired to be um, providers. That's what they do. That's what we do. I'll tell you quick. I have time for quick.
Yeah, of course.
And so this is not relationship between Tyra and I, but so my oldest son, well, both my sons, they come home. They're out of the home now. They come home from time to time. I give them money, make sure they got everything taken care of. And so this last time that my oldest son came home, I was giving him. I said, let me give you some money, and he said, I don't need it. And you would think that would be music to my ears, but I was a little offended, hurt. No, not offended, hurt. And it's like, oh, he does not need me to do what I'm built in part to do.
Mm.
And so I just had to think through that, and that he still needs me. He just needs me in a different way now. All that to say, men are providers, they're protectors. And that's how we are built. That's how we move. And so when you see us do things, when you hear questions that we ask, if you're going to read anything into them, read it and see it through those sorts of lenses.
So you said something about it takes time to get to know a person or build a relationship. Speak to time, because sometimes I feel like people especially once we become older adults, people put the cart before the horse. And when I say older adult, I just mean like mid-20s and before, right? I mean, and up. They'll have the attraction, the physical attraction. And, sometimes intimacy will ensue before actually building relationships. So I always like to tell people, put on that John Legend song. When you meet somebody, it feels like it's moving fast. Put on the John Legend song. We're just ordinary people. Take it slow. So what do you think about timing in terms of building a relationship and really getting to know that person? What does getting to know the other person look like in your mind when it comes to, women and men getting to know each other, but especially helping the women to understand what that means for them?
Yeah. So I think, and it is my inclination, I'm wired in that I move slowly.
Hmm.
I don't rush into decisions. You try to rush me into a decision, I'm going to intentionally do the thing that you don't want me to do. So here my response through that. It takes not only time, because you can spend time with somebody and never really know them.
Wow.
I think it's the environment in which you spend that time, and what you do while you are spending time together.
Oh.
It's easy. I mean, we can go to the movie 16 times, and if you pick the movie every time, you'll never really get to know me unless we talk during the movie, which irritates me, but maybe not other folks. But I digress. And so I think doing things that force or are conducive to conversation is a good way to get to know somebody. Do something that is, you need to see your potential man in a competitive situation.
Okay.
Y'all go play putt golf. I mean, cards. I'm a card player. Dominoes. You don't want none. But you'll figure out more about that man if you're playing on his team or watching him be competitive. So that's important. You want to see him hanging out with his friends. You want to see him hanging out with his people, his family. I'm talking blood family or whatever that substitution is for that man. And spending time in those sorts of environments will yield quicker results than just the typical maybe going to a movie or going out to eat. And that, sometimes going out to eat will help, but you should see him interact with other people to determine who he is, because he's going to put his best foot forward for you. But when he gets around folks who he's comfortable with and who are comfortable with him, even if he's trying to be somebody else, they'll call him out. Why are you acting funny, man? Oh, it's because your girl is here. You need to get him like that.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. So there was something I wanted to ask you about. Oh, so the environment that the woman and the man are spending time in matters. So when I think about this digital world, and women will say, he won't call me. Tell me your thoughts about that. If a man only will text you, and if the time that he spends with you is very specific, like it can't be any other time except for this time. What are your thoughts about that?
Either you have someone that's very organized, very precise about himself, or you just need to walk away. I'm not a big telephone person.
Yeah.
So I'll
look up here.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the she told me that before we started. And so I'll text you before I call you typically. One, I don't like talking on the phone. I just don't. Two, I know everybody's busy, but I'm busy. And so if I'm going to ask you a yes or no question, but you have the tendency not to answer yes or no, I'm going to shoot you a text. Okay. And you can put all that in a text instead of me having to hold the phone for 10 minutes about a yes or no question. Be wary if your potential man is always controlling the environment in which y'all get together. Typically that's a control issue, or he's just trying to keep you from seeing something. And so yeah, I'd be wary about that in general.
So I want you to tell them something, Craig, because I made an audio. They haven't heard it yet because I haven't put it out yet. But in that audio, I said, I knew that them boyfriend did not like talking on the phone. But did you talk to me on the phone when you lived in North Carolina and I was in Atlanta?
Yes. And so that's the exception, in that if there's no other way to communicate, particularly if there's distance, if me seeing you is not an option, and I really like you and I want to be with you and I want to build our relationship, yes, I'll talk on the phone, and I talk on the phone for hours.
Craig would be like, I think he would be on the other side, like, please let her stop talking, because he wouldn't be talking. He would just be holding the phone while I'm talking.
Yeah.
But he would be on the phone. So and I mean, I'm even thinking about it now, Craig. We weren't even in the same state, but you did something that you didn't like to do to stay connected to me. This was pre-cell phone, pre-email, all of that. But you were like, I like her. I want to be with her. And so I'm going to do something I hate doing. And that's being on the phone.
Yeah. And here we are, 30 some odd years later.
Okay. So you talked about a man likes to provide and protect. So I have a question about when a woman is with men, and this is not bashing men or anything. It's just how it is sometimes. I want women to pay attention to context clues. When a woman is with a man and this man is not a provider and he's not a protector, What do you think? What would you tell that woman about that man? Or how should she what should be her thoughts about being with a man like that?
Just leave him alone. I mean, if a man does not want to provide nor protect you or provide for you or protect you, and you may not need it, but I'm saying if that's not his desire, in my humble opinion, it's just like Tyra said, I'm new school, but I'm old school. I'm old school too. He ain't worth nothing. Nothing. I raise my sons. I have conversations with them about this is what being a man is. When you see me, when you were still in the house and I'd get up and I'd go to work, I didn't do it because I needed the money. I did it because we needed the money. When you see how I interact with your mom, when you see that when I'm walking down the street, I'm always pushing y'all to the inside. I'm not going to stop the car, but my instinct is to protect. And so if you find a man that does not have those instincts, and that it may manifest itself differently. It may not manifest the same way that it manifests in me, but if it does not manifest as provide and protect, don't deal with that man, period.
All righty. Okay, so the next thing I want to ask is how does a woman know a man wants her? Because I feel like women often can't
It's easy. Go ahead. That's the question.
can't they will get their they will, I'm not gonna lie. Women love men and they will get their eyes set on this man. And it's kind of like I think women are designed to attract. And so we'll just hang in there and do our best to attract until, just do everything we can to attract this man because the woman wants the man. But my position is if the man isn't biting, if he isn't matching energy, then no matter how much you want the man, just let it go. You can still want him, but I would like if you want a man, divert the energy in a different direction. So how does a woman know that a man wants her?
Let me go back to kind of how we started. Men are simple. And most men that I knew in undergrad, because I've not pursued a woman in a long time.
That's right.
But most men I knew in undergrad, or still know some of them. Some of the men that I interact with now that are not married, they just let the woman know. They don't play games. It's not a bunch of hemming and hawing. And when I say let them know, it's not subtle clues to let her know. It's, hey, I'm interested. Can we do X, Y, Z? Can we move to this space? Or they'll ask, what are we really doing right now? That sort of thing. Now, again, some men move slower than others.
Mm.
And so it may take a minute for the man to come to the conclusion that's the one. And so I wouldn't say just because he's not biting initially that you should turn away or, leave him and divert your energy elsewhere. But once that decision has been made, most men that I know will just come out and say whatever needs to be said to make his intentions known to the young lady.
Yeah. And so on the flip side of that, I also want women to understand what men are attracted to. So in general, what are men attracted to in women? Because I think sometimes we think it's one thing, but it's actually something else.
Yeah, it depends what they're looking for.
In serious relationships.
Serious relationships. And so it's so cliche, being authentic.
I've said it.
Just be yourself.
I've said it.
Because women and men, I can't speak for women, I'm assuming, they want to know what they're getting into. Men do, I know that much. And so if you If you're given like fake vibes, or you're one way one day, another way another day, if that's who you are, then I can figure that out. But in general, men are attracted to authenticity.
You got it.
And so that's that. I don't think that's one thing. Um, and men like women who know what they want.
Wow. Said it.
So if you don't know what you want, you are always going to attract wishy-washy guys, or guys that don't have good intentions, that they're not in it for a long-term relationship. If you don't know what you want, and I don't know how men can pick up on it, but we can. If you're not honed in on this is what I want, then I'd say stay out the game until you figure it out.
So we're going to be ending soon, Craig. If I want you to imagine you're giving advice to your sister, to your nieces, let's say imagine if you had a daughter and they're at the very beginning of their lives. And this is what you want for them in terms of finding someone who, a man who is the perfect match for them. What would you say to them? And I want you to imagine you're saying it to them and say it to the women in my community, because a lot of the women in my community, not all of them have had the opportunity to have a man who is caring and loving, speak words into them that, are affirming of who they are and worthy of having a relationship. So what would you say?
So if I'm talking to a woman in my life, be it a daughter, whoever, I think I start with, you're valuable and precious outside of any relationship with a man. And so never settle for anything less than what you want.
Whoa.
Going into a relationship. Once you determine what it is you want, don't settle. Let me give you some indications of what you may want. You want a man that respects himself. If he don't respect himself, he cannot respect you. You want a man that loves himself. When I say this, I mean, look for a man that takes care of himself physically and mentally and spiritually. If they're not doing that, let me back up. So if you're 18 or 19, it's going to look different than for someone my age. But if they are not taking care of themselves mentally, spiritually, physically, that's an indication that they won't be able or will not be inclined to take care of you. Okay. And you don't have to be taken care of. But again, it goes back to, I believe men are designed, we are wired to protect and to provide in general. And so those are the first two things. I think maybe the last thing is take your time to get to know yourself. Spend time figuring out what you like, not only what you like just in general, but what you need in a relationship. And that takes time, and that takes sometimes trial and error. And so don't beat yourself up if you get into a relationship that doesn't work. Don't wonder what you've done wrong, because more than likely you've done absolutely nothing wrong. It's just that y'all weren't meant to be together. And so take time to get to know. And then, like I said before, once you know what you want, what you need in a relationship, just being authentic will help draw that kind of man towards you. I think that's it.
Woo, that was powerful. That was good. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I've been wanting you to come on. Well, we've talked about you coming on for a good long while, and this won't be the last time, but I am so, so happy you were able to come on today. I know we aren't live. Maybe I'll get Craig on here live. I had to bring him on recorded first to see how he's gonna act. I had to bring him on first to see how he was gonna act, but hopefully we can get him on live, and you can ask him some questions, and he's not one dimensional. So we would love for y'all to come camping with us, do outdoorsy things with us. You see that? I'd say the outdoors is his girlfriend. I'm not like, are you going to go hang out with your girlfriend this weekend? So yeah, we would love for you to get to know Craig in his natural environment and everything. So thank you all so much for being here. And yeah, we're cheering for you. My philosophy is that if you want a relationship, you deserve to have one. And it's my goal and my hope to continue to help to open up women in my community to be able to get the love that they want and desire. So, Craig, you want to say goodbye?
Peace.
Thank you all so much. Love y'all. Peace.